Joining me now is author and political commentator Shemeka Michelle.
Shemeka Michelle.
Shemeka Michelle.
Shemeka Michelle.
When God looked at man, he said it's not good for man to be alone. He gave him a woman. He didn't give him a village. He didn't give him the community. He said, be fruitful and multiply to this man and this woman. So it's supposed to be God, husband, wife.
If you always do what you've always done, you will always get what you've always done.
Hello, hello, hello. Happy Tuesday. Thank you for joining Shaking My Head with Shemeka Michelle. I am your host, Shemeka Michelle. And this is going to be a good one. Earl Grey the Bay, I'm so happy you are here. You were here very early. Welcome back. We missed you yesterday. But I am so excited about this conversation today. So I'm just going to let the people come in. While we are doing that, before we get into why he won't marry her, ladies, why some of you can't get a proposal, can't get a ring, can't get an I do after 10, 15, 20 years, we're going to discuss that. But before we get into the topic today, I did what I guess it was supposed to be a debate yesterday. And I realized that it was a perfect example of how you respond under pressure. Because I thought definitely I was going to be on the opposite side of one person, but it appeared maybe the hostess didn't like that I had my own opinion. Anyway, I'm going to share a little bit of the debate. Please go check it out in full. Tara Palmieri, I believe is how you pronounce her last name. It's good. While we let the people come in, before we let you know if he's been getting the milk for free, will he ever buy the cow? Just watch a little bit of this debate. It was, it's okay. Pretty good.
A new poll shows that 42% of Gen Z believe that hate speech justifies violence.
Insanity.
What do you make of that?
I'll let Shemeka go first.
Yeah, I definitely think that's insanity, but I think it comes directly from the home. As I said, I have a 20-year-old, I have a 22-year-old, and a 29-year-old, and they don't think that way. And I think that's a direct result of how they were raised. And the fact that they all went to college and still weren't radicalized because of how they were raised. And the fact that I stay in touch with them, I talk to them typically on a daily basis, and they just have really strong morals and values. When it comes to rhetoric, I would say I am an equal opportunity insulter. Like, I'm going to typically insult somebody in some way. I bring facts and insults. But I think the difference is when you kind of label people with things that you know will be inflammatory to a group of people, that goes a bit too far. I don't like when people are just labeled as Nazis when they literally are not. I don't like when people are labeled racist when they aren't. And I think that as media people, we do have to be a bit more cognizant of what we're saying just by putting general labels on people that we know will get people worked up and emotional. And I'm almost sick of seeing the word racist when I do feel like there was a time racism was going down. Now, every time I turn around, something is racist. Every time I turn around, I'm seeing someone say, oh, this white woman said something about my hair. That's a microaggression. She's racist. I'm sick of seeing that. It literally, to me, takes the actual meaning and the importance of the word when you just toss it around and use it for everyone, for every single thing. It doesn't mean the same. It's like the boy that cried wolf, and I'm sick of hearing it.
What do you think, though, of the offensive things that Charlie Kirk has said about people that don't fit into the box that he thinks is, an ideal society, Christian, white national kind of lifestyle? He has made comments that are anti-transgender, anti-LGBTQ. He's made comments, many, many comments that are perceived as misogynistic against women who are unmarried, who don't put children and being a wife before their career. He's suggested that they are expired after a certain age. He said that he would question a Black pilot and said, I would wonder if that person has, the right training, or if they were a DEI pick. He said Martin Luther King Jr. was an awful man. Like, he's made a lot of comments that are offensive to a lot of people. Not to say that in any way should lead to him, that does not leave him in any way exposed to violence. But you could understand, I think, why some people would feel very offended by him, right?
Offended is one thing, but labeling it as hate speech to me is something totally different. I could be offended by someone who eats pork. As someone who hasn't had pork in 30 years, don't put a rib in front of me. But I'm not going to think that you hate me simply, for such a small thing. Honestly, everything that
But what if you were out there and you said pork eaters are disgusting people and they are living a life in sin? Because that's essentially what Charlie was trying to say in some ways about certain groups of people.
I think when it comes to Charlie is a Bible believer. And so most people that believe in the Bible do think homosexuality is a sin. So why be offended with Charlie? Don't be offended with Charlie. Be offended with the person that wrote the Bible, or be offended with God.
Think that, but would Jesus say that Martin Luther King Jr. was an awful person? Would he question why a person received a job? Would he say that women who are not married, that are of a certain age, don't have children, are less valuable in society than others?
Would he say it, or would his word point to it? If Martin Luther King was in adultery and he was having orgies and he had a wife, I think that would actually speak more to his character. Yes, did Martin Luther King do some good things that people would agree with? Absolutely. But if he was an adulterer and he was having orgies and he was cheating on his wife, I think there are people that could come to the conclusion that he wasn't that great of a person. So I don't think,
couldn't we
unless
say
we
the same
worship
thing
Martin
about
Luther
our
King,
own president?
I'm
Like,
sorry.
you could make the same argument about Trump, who's been accused of
You
adultery.
could make the same argument about Trump. The difference is Trump was not a reverend standing in the pulpit while he said it. There is a certain qualification that you should have, or a certain lifestyle that you should live if you're standing in the pulpit preaching to people. Well, 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 well. Again, go check out the full thing because it was fun to do. I wasn't as fiery as I could have been. I am fighting a little bit of a cold. You can hear it. I sound a bit nasally, but it was still fun. It was still a good conversation, and I don't back down from my opinion. It is just who I am. And I don't believe that someone should die simply because the words that are coming out of their mouth, the words that are coming out of their mouth is hurtful to you. They're just words. Sticks and stones may break my bones, but words will never hurt me. Words should not hurt you. If you are that weak and wussy that you don't know how to cut it off or not listen to somebody, do the la 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 la. Do that if you need to. But to me, just because someone is saying something that you don't like does not give you the right to take their life. I'm not changing that. I don't care that you all label what's offensive to you hate speech. Then this goes back to the whole war on words. Because if they make you feel like what you believe is hateful, then you're going to back away from it. a lot of people because people don't want to be seen as hateful. See me as hateful. I'm going to say what it is I have to say. Okay? And I'm going to be I said what I said each and every time. But that was a perfect example of how to handle yourself under pressure. We talked about that on yesterday. And today, I've been looking forward to this. Today, all right, I got a question from one of our viewers that I just couldn't ignore. I thought it was a great discussion topic. She asked, if a man has been getting the milk for free for over 20 years, is it possible or even likely that he'll finally decide to buy the cow? Drop your answer in the chat because that is a question that hits home for a lot of women. Some of you have been with a man for years, cooking, cleaning, giving him the best that you got, baby, and still no ring, no I do, no commitment of any sort of value. We want to know, can you change that man? Can you make him do an about face and decide after 20 years, we need to go ahead and get married? Meet me at the altar in your white dress. We ain't getting no younger. We might as well do it. Can you change his mind after 10, 15, 20 years? Put your answer in the chat. I want to remind you all to like this, share it, comment, tell a friend to tell a friend. We have some good conversations over here. We shake our heads and have some good conversations. Let me say hello to everybody who has joined today. Earl Grey Bay or McLarge Mills, Mr. Terrible, hello. Thomas Bailey, Sharisa Jones, Miguel, Kayla, Melina, Mark. Hello, hello, hello. I appreciate all of you for being here. Put your answer in the chat because I want to know how the women feel. Men, I want to know how you feel about this conversation. Why is it that you can be with a woman for 5 or 10 years and still not want her to be your wife? Is she a placeholder? Is she a placeholder while you figure out exactly what it is that you want? Or do you have some other reasons that people would say, that's pretty legitimate? I kind of agree with them on that. We are now in the place where men are saying there's no reason to get married. I'm seeing a lot of men say she's going to come in and take everything that I have. Typically, it seems like this conversation is coming from men with $250 in the bank. That's just me saying that, being Shemeka Michelle. But that's the belief that this woman is going to come in and take everything that you have without adding anything of value. So that's the question that we're asking today. Why buy the cow if you're already getting the milk for free? We're going to break this down on why men delay marriage, why women allow it, whether long-term situationships can ever really turn into marriage, and the hard truth about what it means when he hasn't committed by now. And I want to hear from you, men and women, because this isn't just theory. This is real life. Let's get into it. Answer the question in the chat. This isn't about one couple. This is about many couples. Sometimes people don't have the courage to ask the question. It's about long-term living relationships that are really meant for commitment. Why men delay marriage? Sometimes it's about comfort, convenience. He's already getting sex, already getting companionship, and he's already getting home cooked meals. And the reason why that can, not the sex portion, but the reason why there can be some debate, especially when it comes to the home cooked meals and the companionship, I firmly believe that there's nothing wrong with cooking a man home cooked meals when you're dating. I actually think you should display wifely qualities, because the scripture says when a man finds a wife, he finds a good thing. I think you already have to be a wife. The reason why it's hard for men to take some of you seriously, you're in and out the club. You're with this person one day, another man 2 months later. So there's a man that you want, and I'm talking about before you all get to this living together stage. I'm talking about in the beginning. I was having a conversation with a friend, and I was just saying that I feel like a lot of women lie nowadays. A lot of women are so afraid of rejection that instead of being vulnerable, we talked about this, how that women like to display this masculine quality or take on this masculine frame. She doesn't want to be vulnerable. She's catching flights, not feelings. A lot of women are lying and don't want to be honest up front and say, I'm really interested in dating towards marriage. Or you'll just go along to get along with this guy. You're afraid to ask him if the end goal is marriage. You're afraid to ask him, do we go together? You're afraid to ask him for any sort of commitment, which is so asinine to me. It's crazy to me. It makes absolutely no sense, because a lot of these women who know they want marriage will pretend like they're indifferent about it, pretend like they don't care, and continue to pop their legs open when they know that's not what they want. And then these same women, when it doesn't work out for them, they are mad and bitter and angry and calling this man all types of evil because he didn't want to commit when you weren't upfront in the first place that you were interested in commitment. He told you, yeah, I want some of that ass. And you thought I want some of that ass would turn into, I'm going to ask you to marry me. This is why I said, women, you have to stop leading with sex. Because you get into these relationships and into these spaces and you want something more, but you led with sex. And now this man is looking at you like, wait a minute. That wasn't the plan. That's not the deal we had. Can he change his mind? Yes. But you need to be real clear from the beginning, ladies, what it is you want, and stop betraying what you feel on the inside to put this facade up on the outside and make it seem like you just cool with whatever goes, when you know that's not the case. I don't understand how you can lay down with somebody that you feel completely uncomfortable with being honest with. Like, I can't be honest with you, but we're going to lay down. I'm scared to ask you, what are we? But we can lay down. The problem is too many of you are actually naked without being open, honest, and emotionally exposed. You should try that naked, open, honest, and emotionally exposed before you ever get to the physical nakedness. And y'all are doing it backwards. So sometimes, why won't he marry you? You're not even seen as a serious person from the start. You come in with low morals and low values, low self-esteem and a lack of self-worth from the start. We're going to get to the 20 years, but from the beginning, a lot of you don't tell the truth about what you really want when you enter into these connections. So there's no need in being mad at the man and running around constantly talking about men ain't shit. You ain't shit, and that's why you keep attracting ain't shit men. No matter how much you dress it up, you ain't shit. You can put lipstick on a pig, but it's still a pig. And some of you are putting on the smallest clothes or the cutest clothes, the biggest name brands, the best hair, got your face beat to the gods, but you still ain't shit. Because if you can't be honest with yourself, you will never really be able to be honest with somebody else, with this man. This goes back to yesterday saying you want to be chosen, but you don't make yourself worth choosing. So sometimes that lack of commitment is because you haven't been honest. And many of you will perform all the wifely duties, not just saying, hey, come over here, I want to cook you a good meal, because you want to show him you know how to keep a home, you know how to cook a good meal. A lot of you want to show him your assets up front, and the ASS is capitalized. All caps on that. You ready to Netflix and chill before any other thing. So sometimes you don't get that commitment because you've already provided the comfort and convenience. Why buy the cow when you can get the milk for free? Sometimes men delay marriage for fear of losing freedom and control. This goes to why I say women allow it. You know he has no commitment, but you're too scared to say anything. You're too scared to ask where we are, what are we doing, where are we headed, what's the end goal of this? And again, some of you are lying, acting as if you just want to play the field and play around, knowing that's not really what you want. But society has made you think you can't say what you want. You're less than, you're a pick me if you're open and upfront and honest about what you want. And so you feel like if I can't beat him, join him. Let me just pretend like I'm okay with having empty, meaningless sex, switching partners every time, we turn around. Let me just pretend like I'm okay with this, and I'm a savage, sassy, bougie, whatever the words are. You just pretend. Because most of you women, you aren't savages. You're not even good at it. You out here slashing tires. I bust the windows out your car. Because you're not a savage. Emotions and feelings all wrapped up in it. Confronting other women, having a heart-to-talk heart. This Barbara, whatever. Y'all, because you have feelings in it, but you pretended like you catch flights, not feelings. Sometimes men delay marriage because there's no incentive when he's gained everything from a marriage and it's already there for him. Just a smorgasbord. Everything that he would get from the marriage, he already is getting. Why would he need to sign the dotted line? Why would he need to, in his eyes, possibly lose that freedom by signing on the dotted line when he know you're gonna continue to be right there? You're not gonna stand 10 toes down and stand up for yourself. And that way, when he feels like being somewhat of a so-called man to you, he can. When he doesn't feel like it, he can back away. Because husbands, they are there in sickness and in health, for rich or for poor, when things are good and when things are bad. Husbands don't get to clock out. Husbands don't get to go weeks and months without talking to you because he just don't feel like it right now. And as long as you give him that freedom to come in and out, to be a husband on Monday, but by Friday, I don't feel like doing this so-called husband thing. I'm out. Why would he sign on the dotted line? Why? And women allow this, you know why? Hoping he will change. You allow it. And many of you are the same women that'll say, I'm not a doormat. But you are. You just a doormat that take yourself up every now and then, throw yourself in the washing machine, get good and clean, and then lay right on back out for him to do that revolving door. I'm out, I'm in. I'm out, I'm in. I'm out, I'm in. Every time you get nice and clean, you just freely lay out again for him to change his mind and come back with zero commitment. Women allow it. Pressure to prove wifey material before he commits. And again, I don't have an issue with you presenting yourself like a wife. I can keep a home. I can cook a food. I can control my emotions. I can be a helpmeet. When he finds you, you should already be there. I'm talking about, y'all know exactly what I'm talking about. When you lead with sex and feel like that's gonna get him. Oh, what's between my legs is gold. It's platinum. Willie D said, and excuse me for being crass, I'm repeating some rap lyrics. Think your pussy's made of gold? Well, it's not. You couldn't get a dime for it at the pawn shop. You couldn't. That's not going to add any type of value or tangible value to a man's life. You got to present more than that. We talked about this yesterday. You a woman with a hole, so is the next woman. What is it that you're presenting? When you talk about being a wife, it's more than what's between your legs. So you trying to put pressure on him, showing him that you wifey material? You gonna get him strung out? That's not what men are looking to marry. And it's an insult when you act as if men are just looking for that, and that's all they're concerned about. It's an insult. A lot of ways, women, you allow it by saying, as long as we're happy, marriage doesn't matter. And if you don't mind, if you truly don't care about being married, ladies, I'm not saying anything about that. I'm saying when you know you want to be married, but you're doing everything opposite of what your end goal is. If your end goal is to be married, get somewhere and sit down, as the old people would say. Not sit down somewhere. Can he still commit after 10 years plus? Yes. It happens, but the exception isn't the rule. There are some men who marry late out of guilt, financial stability, or convenience. Absolutely. And most men already knew early whether she was or was not the one. Hard truth, time invested doesn't guarantee a ring. I want to know, should women even want marriage after waiting decades? Drop that answer in the chat. Should you even want it after waiting decades? Do you keep holding on? Men, drop your answer. Give the woman an answer. She wants to know, can she change his mind and he wants to buy the cow after getting the milk for free for years? What does this say about his respect for her? Or should she just acquiesce and say, well, I respect him so much. If he doesn't want to do it, then I need to toss my dream of wanting to be married and wanting to be married to him out the window and just go along to get along with him. He's the one that I love. He has my heart. We built this life together already. He doesn't want to marry me. Should I just shut up and go with the flow? I've been going with the flow this long. What's another 10, 20, 30 more years? I want to know, do y'all know anybody who lived together for years before finally marrying, and did it work? Or was it too late? Because we hear of these situations where they finally get married and then it's something about that piece of paper, they fall apart. I want to hear your stories. Let me go to the chat and see what's happening in the chat today. And I want you all to know, when you comment on X, I can see that as well when you comment within the actual live. So whether you're on X or YouTube, Mr. Terrible, you eat pork every day. Melina, that lady got on my nerves because she was constantly trying to interrupt you when you were making a point. I can't stand that. Yeah, it was annoying, which is why I said I thought I was only supposed to be there to have a conversation or disagreement, debate, whatever, with one person, but it was like I had to. It's okay. She was rolling her eyes. Yeah, go watch the whole thing. I held it together very, very well. Pat myself on the back. The sickness helped, but at least I didn't come across like some unhinged, angry woman on the right. Melina says, after about 6 months, if he ain't talking marriage, I'm out. If you can't make him change his mind, how can you assist him in changing his mind? Let's see what the guys are going to say. McLarge Mills says that's the only thing she can think of, a placeholder. Mr. Terrible, no, I would not marry a woman who lets me live with her outside of marriage. Mr. Terrible, I'm going to keep going down, but did you tell us why? He's never going to buy the cow because why? He's not going to develop sudden honor. He's already getting what his main desire is. Mary Gurley, I like the fact that you say he's not going to develop sudden honor. Putting it that way is very eye-opening because there is a level of honor. That's a good perspective. Thank you for that comment. Harrio, thank you for being here today. It's life journey. If you choose someone just like everything else, use your discernment. Stimulated students. Oh, wait. Graham Cougar first. I spent 10 years with the love of my life before he dumped me, married my twin 10 years younger to have a baby. Oh. Wow, Grams. Thank you for the feedback. When I was 20, I wanted to get married, but I didn't have no money. LOL. Do people still believe in building together? Coming together young, I was in my 20s as well, but you come together and you build together. Graham says, what if you ask and they lie? Are you saying what if you ask them what the end goal is and they actually lie about it? I just want to be clear that's what you're saying. Uh-oh. I don't want you to get into trouble. Uh-oh. What are you saying, Shemeka? I'm not sure what you're saying, Sharisa. Miguel, if they're shacking, not only that is common law marriage of the land in the most high eyes, if a man is committed and providing to a woman in his house, they're married. So Miguel is saying that it's common law marriage. It's common law marriage definitely in some states. We don't recognize common law here in North Carolina. But he's saying in the eyes of the Most High, if a man is committed and providing to a woman in his house, they're married. I think those are two key things, Miguel. Committed and providing. Sex with commitment is marriage. Sex without commitment is fornication. Miguel, that's a good discussion. I think I want to let me write that down because I want to have that conversation on here because there are some people that's saying, no, it's not. No, it's not. I always take what you all say and come up with a different discussion. Sex with commitment, marriage. Sex without, fornication. Gotcha. I know there's some debate in here going on. Women equate sex to intimacy, and they're not the same thing. Intimacy is what they're actually craving. Absolutely. I totally agree with that. Mark said, my dad once told me as a man, don't act like you're married until you are. And so, Mark, does that mean you do you have any commitment in dating, or like what does that look like? Mark, we might need you on the panel. Tell me what that looks like. McLarge Mills, I wasn't auditioning for the role of his wife. He was either going to see my value or not. I just had to be myself. I think men like mystery, so when you reveal it all too soon, they lose interest. Melina. And Thomas said, oh, Thomas, do you agree with her? Y'all laughing over that lipstick on the pig. Oh, you told me the words are classy, bougie, ratchet. Okay, thank you. I'm a savage. Classy, bougie, ratchet, whatever. She was lying the whole time. Maybe she's starting to come up on this whole classy thing, but we haven't seen classy as of yet. I guess anybody can be bougie, but I disagree with the classy. The bougie is up for debate, and the ratchet is definite. That's definite. Alicia, I tell my daughter a lot that women don't know their true value. Clark Kent gave up being Superman to get what Lois Lane had. Y'all know I can't see. Men, are you answering the questions? I got one answer from the men saying, I wouldn't marry a woman who allowed me to live with her. Men, hop in the chat. Do you agree with anything that I've said thus far as to why men don't commit and why women allow it? Even if the particular woman isn't giving him the milk for free, there are so many women willing to give it to them that they don't see the point of marriage also. Yes. It goes back to, who is that? Amara something, the one that brought in the conversation of honor. I think that's a great way to sum it up. It's about honor. So other women are effing up the game, for lack of better words. Damn, not a doormat for a revolving door deep. Was I dropping some balls? Guys, okay, let's see. Stimulated students. If a man doesn't know if he wants to marry you after 3 months, then he's not intentional, doesn't know what he wants, or has no direction, or he's holding out for what he wants. Thank you for answering the question. Miguel says, after waiting decades, hopefully her looks and figure held up. Do you think that has anything to do with it, Miguel? Women can't be afraid to ask questions, and you have to ask the right questions. Sometimes a woman will find out something about me and they'll say, why you never told me that? I'm like, you never asked. And now McLarge Mill says, so you only reveal things when asked about them directly. Ooh, y'all getting spicy. Thomas Bailey, women seek commitment by using sex. Men seek sex, feigning commitment. That's good. That is good. Yeah, women, you will not get commitment with sex. You have to bring more to the table than just sex. Andrew Meese, thank you for being here. Said guys will know within a few months if they want to marry a woman. If they are getting benefits on the regular early on and they see red flags, they may drag it out of convenience and to see options. Mark says, yes, I do have a commitment in dating. I don't believe a woman should just follow me without knowing or understanding my plans for the relationship. People, men and women, will do what's required for the things that they want. I totally agree with that. It's like when they say people make time for what they want to make time for. Like when women or men are always begging, you don't have any time for me. People make time for what they want to make time for. So people will do what's required for what they want. You want this job and you know the requirements, you know the qualifications, you're going to meet those qualifications or you're going to go apply somewhere else. But if you really want this job, you're going to make sure those qualifications line up. And sometimes we get so lonely and desperate that we toss all those qualifications. Oh, no, never mind. I wanted this, but never mind. Let's see. People came at Ashanti and Nelly because he said he felt like she was more than a baby mama. I felt like it was a valid reason, going back to honor. Absolutely. He wanted to honor her. But men can get sex acting like they want to commit. They can act like it, but I do feel like you see the signs. I feel like a woman sees the signs and she knows whether or not he's committed. And when I say committed, it goes back to somebody in the chat, Miguel, I think it was, saying, is he providing for that woman and taking care of the home? Because you can be committed, not sleeping with nobody else, not taking somebody else out on dates, not going on dates with somebody else. You can have that level of commitment, but there's a higher level of commitment when you actually begin to take care of that woman. Are you trying to build a life with that woman? Do you see this woman is hungry and you're feeding her? Do you see this woman is without shelter and you're providing that? That's a different level of commitment that husbands make. Whether there's a piece of paper or not, there's a different level of commitment that husbands make. So I think that's a very good answer. Where's the honor? Number one, because there's a level of honor. And that level of honor will produce a level of commitment that are indicative of husbands. So when it comes to, giving the milk for free, will he buy the cow? You got to look to see, does he have that level of honor and that level of taking care of me as a woman, that saying husband? Is it saying cow buyer? Because is it saying cow buyer without the paperwork? Because maybe there's no bill of sale. But is he feeding the cow? Is he providing shelter for the cow? Is he taking care of the cow, making sure no butcher don't come in the back door to slaughter the cow? Or is he just getting the milk and leaving the cow ass out? That's the question. Because maybe there is no legitimate legal bill of sale. But with him getting that milk, every time he come in there, squish, 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 squish. Well, every time he come in there and get the milk, what else is going on? Is there any honor attached? Is there any provision attached? See, this is why these conversations are so good. We can have a question and have a meeting of the minds, a shaking of the heads, and come with a good solution. Stimulated students, is he investing in the cow? Where there's no investment, there's no long-term plan. That's good. Where there's no investment, there's no long-term plan. You letting them just come in there and milk you? He just coming in there. Are they called titties on cows? I don't know. I'm like, I sound country, but I'm not like real country. He coming in there just squeezing on them, getting the milk, but otherwise leaving you ass out. That's no investment and there's no long-term plan. Amen, Shemeka. Relationships and love of neighbor and Jesus will heal us. Squash, squash. McLarge, what age did you allow your daughters to date Shemeka? Oh, I'm just going to go out on a limb and say 16. But I don't think any of them went on dates before then. Well, let me take that back. My youngest, I think she was somewhere between 16 or 17 going to play tennis with a friend. I called it a date. She said it wasn't a date. But y'all meeting to go play tennis and then get food afterwards or meeting for a restaurant, that's a date to me. I don't care if it's 4:00 in the afternoon. So, but I would say 16 and above. But I don't think the oldest two and the youngest she might be still being secretive and being in a relationship and I don't know about it. I'm just kidding. She doesn't really go anywhere. But I don't think they got into real relationships until 18 and above. I will say, I ain't going to say that. It's nobody's business. But they did what they were supposed to do. Let me say that. They did exactly what they were supposed to do. They're called udders. Thank you. Matt Large says, no plan, Boost Mobile. Boost Mobile head ass. Yes. Yes, they are called tits on cows. Andrew says udders as well. Okay, udders. We're going to call them udders. My dad was married twice, and he said, no more 3 strikes and you're out. My daughter is 14 and has a boyfriend. I'm so scared. She lives with her dad now. I wish she would stop, but I'm glad she isn't hiding it from me. Ooh. Make large meals. We need to have a conversation about that as well, because what does this look like with a boyfriend? Because I had boyfriends at that young age as well, but I was a virgin. And I was so much a virgin. He took me to the prom. Listen, this is so funny. He took me to the prom. And back then they would get hotel rooms afterwards. I'm assuming they still do that. I was in the 10th grade. So I graduated at 17. So I had just turned 15, going to his senior prom. I was 10th grade, end of the year. And we went to the prom, and my mother allowed me to stay out late, right? Because it was his senior prom. We get to the hotel room, and he has rose petals all over the bed. I told you I was a virgin. He had rose petals all over the bed. Bar None was my favorite candy bar. He had a card there. The card was telling me how much he loved me. I started crying. Take me home. Take me home. Because I just felt like, oh, he was ready. He was ready for the get down, and I was not ready. I'm sorry. I know this is your senior prom, but take your girl to the house. I'm not ready for what you're ready for. And thankfully, I had some standards. I was scared, whatever it was, because he told me, no, I wasn't doing that to pressure you. We don't have to do any of that. We can just watch TV, whatever, have a good time. And I held on to my virginity because I was serious about that. All them rose petals and stuff, you done took it up a notch. I ain't ready. Can't hang. I couldn't hang. I could not hang. Ain't no way I'm letting my daughters get a hotel room for the prom. Right. Yeah, you better make sure you didn't I don't know what my mama was thinking. I might have to ask her today. Like, did you know when you said I have to come home that he was gonna have this hotel room waiting for me and your daughter almost got? I need to know. Yeah, he was expecting too much. I wasn't ready, but it's crazy because at that age, many of my friends were already having sex. So it was kind of like, am I going to get with the program or not? And I wasn't ready to get with the program. Man, Shemeka, he spent all that money. Yes, he did. But I wasn't ready. It is what it is. Okay. I appreciate y'all adding to this conversation. Marriage isn't about time put in. It's about a man's intention from the start. If he's been drinking the milk for 20 years, chances are he's not going to suddenly buy the cow. Or as the lady said, he's not going to suddenly become a man of honor. Again, is he just coming in, squeezing the udders, getting the milk, drinking it, and going about his business? Or is there honor with the level of provision and providing an investment into that cow? So this isn't about the bill of sale, the legal bill of sale. This is about the actions. After 20 years, Is he showing the actions that say, you know what? We may not have a legal bill of sale, but he is providing for me. He's protecting me. He's being a man of honor. He's covering me. I'm not going hungry. I'm not worried about shelter because he is fulfilling that role. So many times, ladies, we get caught in the legal bill of sale when the legal bill of sale is just a piece of paper. My notes on here, just a piece of paper that says he has the honor and he's willing to step in the position of actually being a husband legally. When people say it's just a piece of paper, they're not saying, well, some people are trying to minimize what marriage is, but there's no minimization in marriage. There are certain actions that come with a husband. So as you give the milk up, it's going to be powdered soon. Anyway, as you give the milk up, ask yourself, as the cow, is he providing for me? Is he making sure I eat? Is he making sure I have shelter? Is he taking care of me? Is he leading me in the right direction? There are actions with the husband. This piece of paper is only one of them. Yes, it binds you legally, but that's not what makes a husband. Look for those actions, because you can get this piece of paper and still not have a husband, still not have the honor, the provision, the commitment. So that's the real question. That piece of paper, it comes along with, that's in addition to whether or not he's taking care of the cow. Because some of y'all out here giving milk, and that milk is going to run out because there's no sustenance coming in. He's not even pouring into you on that level. That's the question you should be asking yourself today. Don't worry about the bill of sale. Is he taking care of the cow? I appreciate y'all. Oh, did I miss something? I finally found the like and share button. I'm blind, y'all. A very big deal for me. I am an official head shaker and is. I appreciate y'all. Thomas Bailey says, I agree with most of what you're saying, Shemeka Michelle. Thank you, Thomas. No tell, hotel, motel. Are you willing to get married again? Yes. And it took me years to come to that answer. You see how fast I said that? Yes. But it took me years. Over a decade. Marriage is an institution. Got to be ready. You do. People should get married young. I agree. Get married young, grow together, stay together. Grow together, glow together, stay together. Whatever. I love that. I'm hoping the same for mine. One is getting on up there. I love you. But I'm hoping that Thomas Bailey, lactation is for babies. I love y'all. I will see you tomorrow, same place, same time. Just like yesterday, we got two shows. We got a show out of yesterday that we'll be doing eventually, and a show out of today. I love y'all, head shakers. Let's join here tomorrow to see what else causes me to shake my head. I'm out of here. Same place, same time tomorrow.